League of Sun and Moon. So the last league went pretty well, so I'm pretty set on this deck list. The one thing I did want to try out is I've cut the Rugged Prairies and added the Sun-Baked Canyons. Finally picked some up, so going to give them a shot, see if how relevant the draw ability is, see if paying the life hurts us a bit too much. And with that said, the rest of the list is the same, so let's get match one underway. Alright, we found our first opponent. Let's get match number one underway. We've lost the dial, so we'll be on the draw. I like the sound. It's got a Chalice, got a Blood Moon, couple of win conditions, so we'll keep. Our opponent so far is mulligan to 6, and it looks like they're keeping their 6. A Lotus Bloom, huh? And a Snow-Covered Plains, okay. That's interesting, because it feels like it should be ad nauseam with the Lotus Bloom, but we're not sure, so I want to play out this Chalice on 0, but so far we have no turn 2 play anyway, so we'll hold on to it and see what our opponent has, because we can play this for 0 like the turn before it comes down realistically. Alright, second Snow-Covered Plains, they've passed back to us. Okay, another basic Plains. Very interesting. I think I still want to wait until the turn right before the Lotus Bloom comes down. So next time we'll play out our Blood Moon and our Chalice on 0. Okay. Solemnity, sure. Neri's going to have to put in a lot of work this match, I assume. So we'll still play out the Blood Moon, turn off that Nykthos. Play out our Chalice on 0 to stop that Lotus Bloom and pass back to our opponent. Yeah, Chalice on 1 doesn't seem like it does anything in this matchup, so pretty okay with that. Okay, they have a Phyrexian Unlife as well. It's about what we expected. So I think the Unlife's not a concern just yet. Whereas the Solemnity potentially combos with other things, whereas the Unlife only combos with the Solemnity, so could be wrong, but let's get rid of that first. The worst case scenario is our opponent has a second Solemnity here, but it forces them to play that rather than anything else. Birth of Meletus. Okay. We've got Temple of Triumph. We'll start by discarding that Temple. Okay, we found a Sun-Baked Canyon. So we'll play out the Plane so we can hold up the Helix, I guess. Just play out Gideon. And I'm pretty comfortable just embleming the Gideon here. Pass it back to our opponent. Can't imagine we want a Helix in response to anything right here. They get a wall, that doesn't really mean anything. Ghostly Prison, sure. I think I'm happy to just untap here. Bone Crusher Giant, huh? We'll start by discarding the land. Because I'm still not sure if this Wrath might be relevant. Like, I'm tempted to Wrath here and just get in with the Gideon. Except I don't have the mana for it because of the Ghostly Prison. Sure. Let's just do that. think I'm just gonna stomp my opponent and play up my Bone Crusher Giant. Feels better than Wrathing. Oh, I didn't even notice they played another Lotus Bloom. Okay, so they gain 2 life for the end of that. That's fine. On Thin Ice, I had Bone Crusher, sure. Ruined Halo, probably naming my Gideon. Yep. I think I just want to keep ticking this Nahiri up. At this point, the extra chalice is kind of irrelevant. Let's play out a land. Just do that, I guess. So the question is when I want to start using the Nahiri to take out these enchantments. I kind of just want to Helix the opponent here. I think I'll just do that. Okay, we found another Bone Crusher. So they've just got so many enchantments that I want to deal with. So I think the plan is we push towards ultimating the Nahiri. I think we just push towards getting Nahiri to ultimate, and then they have to sacrifice 6 permanents, which is good for us. Probably should have stomped the main phase and played out the Bone Crusher. Okay, let's find Emrakul. Now let's see, I hope this works how I expect it works, that when I attack I have to pay the 2. Okay, we win from that, that's awesome. Game 2, we definitely want Wear Tear. I like Chandra. It's something they can't really stop, because they can't name the emblems with whatever that enchantment's called, I don't know. So all of our Wraths feel pretty bad. I think Wrath of God has more value than Anger, so I'm definitely interested in cutting them. I don't know that Spyglass does anything. I don't know that Leyline of Sanctity does anything. I don't think Damping Sphere does anything. Maybe... no, I could see these potentially doing something, and I imagine that our Wraths and our Blood Moons aren't too good, so let's just go with that, I guess. We'll see. Game 2 might give us a bit more information. Yeah, this is a hand I'm happy to keep. We have the Gemstone Caverns, so we'll put that into play first. Just get rid of the mountain here. We've got all the rest of our mana pretty well sorted. Chandra's nice. Pretty happy to just play out a temple here. Looking for Simeon, I guess. I like the Nahiri, actually. The second Nahiri means we can aggressively destroy enchantments with one or both. Suppression field, sure. Expected that a little bit. Just going to play out the Mesa and... yeah, we'll just pass here. So this Mesa is going to cost us 2 mana to activate, which is fine, so we're just going to spend the turn doing that. Okay, they've found a Lotus Bloom. Got a Ruined Halo. Probably naming Bone Crusher or Gideon in the dark. Yep, they've named out Gideon. I'm pretty happy just getting planes here in case we draw a Blood Moon, because I wouldn't mind turning off that Hall of Heliods. Yep, so we're just going to start with... We're going to start with Nahiri, because that can take down the suppression field next turn. We can't activate it unless we can afford the 2 mana for it, so we can't do anything with it this turn. Wouldn't mind finding a Chalice for this Lotus Bloom. Okay, deal with the suppression field. Yeah, yield through the turn. Probably just throw a Helix at them. Okay, Birth of Miletus is totally fine by us. Just use our mana efficiently here. Okay, we found Bone Crusher Giant. I'm just going to activate Nahiri first. I think I'm pretty okay with this because I kind of want this Blood Moon. Chandra, we'll just tick up the Chandra. Pass it back. So is that coming down now? It is, okay. So our opponent's got a bit of mana behind him now. Oh, they're using it already, okay. This will be interesting. Enduring Ideal, okay. So you're going to get to cast that for the rest of the game. Casting out Nahiri. I'm okay with that. So if I double red, I can Helix as well. That doesn't really do anything for us. Okay, let's see what the top of our library has for us. It's just an Arid Macer, okay. Play out a Nahiri. I think this Enduring Ideal honestly might just have us. But let's just start with this. Keep the new Nahiri, or the old Nahiri, depending how you look at it. I think the Blood Moons are relevant now since the Hall of Heliods doesn't do anything for them. Okay, so next turn, both of our Planeswalkers will tick up to their ultimates. So our opponent needs to deal with them one after one for these next 2 turns. So if they have more cast outs or O-rings, we might be in trouble. Then we do have another Chandra coming down. This is interesting. They've got an Oblivion Ring, okay, so they're probably taking down Nahiri again, sure. So our best top deck is another Nahiri. Okay, Chelsea doesn't do anything for us at this point. So, tick up. Oh, that would have been very nice. Just no way I can cast that. That really sucks. I think we're just going to throw 2 burn spells at our opponent at this point. They have to find a way to deal with Chandra now. Great Oromancy doesn't deal with Chandra. So... do I hold my burn spells? Let's see, so that's 5 to... yeah. So next turn I... oh no, I can just cast them now, that's fine. I'm not missing anything, right? Let's do this. Cast Chalice for 0. Hit our opponent. Oh, sorry, that's waiting on me. And I guess we just cast a new Chandra, why not? We need to add red. There we go. And that'll hit you again, opponent. We did it! Match number 1 in the bags. Join us shortly for match number 2. Alright, looks like we found an opponent. Let's get match number 2 underway. We've won the die roll this time. Awesome, we'll be on the play. So we've got a Simeon, which allows us to turn to Gideon. We've got 4 lands, which is a little too many, especially with the Simeon. Bone Crusher Giant and the Gideon are both trying to be win cons. We have the Temple. I think I'm going to keep just based on how fair and playable this hand is. It'll suck if we need a Chalice or a Blood Moon, but I think a turn to Gideon is worth keeping. So let's scry, see what we got. Simeon, we don't want another Simeon. So yeah, pretty happy next turn to just play out of Plains, exile Simeon and play out Gideon. Soulscar Mage, okay. That's still pretty good for us. Just going to uptick the Gideon on that Soulscar Mage, which will force them to overcommit into the board potentially. So this Bone Crusher Giant doesn't look amazing as a burn spell. If they tap out, it's pretty good potentially. But now they're up to Gideon, they're probably not going to tap out. It's kind of tough. Maybe I'm just playing Bone Crusher out as a blocker. I mean, if they tap out here, I'm going to try and stomp it. Because they kind of have to have another creature to follow up here. So that my Gideon just can't keep them in check. So they have the land. Do they have the creature to follow it up is the question. They got something. Lightning Bolt probably going at Gideon, sure. Now, do you have a gut shot? Looks like they do have a gut shot. Okay, Gideon down. Got it. The nice thing here is we get to stomp the Soulscar. Blood Moon doesn't seem great here, so we're just gonna... I suppose we'll play out a land first. Stomp the Soulscar. They've already played a 0-drop in their gut shot, so hopefully they don't have another one. They do not. So here they can kind of do whatever, but I feel like we've saved ourselves a lot of damage by using the Gideon. This Blood Moon might not be the worst, honestly. Should turn off our opponent's blue mana. If I have nothing to do next turn, I might play it over the Bone Crusher. I think the main reason to not play the Blood Moon is if I see Kiln Fiend in particular. Or maybe they're building up for a Bedlam Reveler. Maybe this is the new flyer. Drawing a card off the Fire Outlet's kind of nice for us. Looks like we're getting the turn back here. So this is going to be a great spot for Blood Moon. Kind of wish I'd gotten to do it before they decided to cycle their Fire Outlet, but that's fine. Huh. Do I want to play out the Nahiri before the Blood Moon? So if I play out Nahiri... What's the disadvantage? They're the red-blue, so that flyer's kind of scary for Nahiri. So I think I'm happy just delaying it by a turn and playing out a Blood Moon. I think turn off their blue mana, and they've already gone through 2 mana morphos as well, so this chokes their blue mana pretty well. I think that, yeah, the biggest thing I'm scared of is that blue flyer that costs less if they've cast a spell. Anything on the ground the Bone Crusher can kind of contend with. So now they're throwing a Love Dart at me, so they're probably going to play the draw spell. God, you light up the stage, that's the one. Thank you, opponent, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so an uncastable spell and a mountain. Anger of the Gods is nice. I'm definitely playing out the Nahiri here. Bone Crusher is an option, but drawing the Anger makes me want to not play out my creature that dies to my Wrath. Like, I'm happy to wait out, see if they draw creatures, because if they do, they're 100% casting them, and I want to be able to anger them. Okay. So there's a question of whether I want to play this Plane, so I can potentially Bone Crusher and Anger in the same turn. Which I can't do until I find a red source anyway. And I kind of like having the land to discard to Nahiri if nothing else kind of happens. So our opponent has a Lava Dart they can flash back, so Nahiri's not going to ultimate as fast as I would like. Okay, they've played out a Swift Spear. They're potentially going to kill Nahiri here. Which is maybe a reason to play the Plains, but then my next draw has to be exactly a non-Plains land for that to be good, and they have to be able to kill Nahiri here. I wouldn't be surprised if their plan is to get Nahiri at least under an egg 2, or make her have to die to an egg 2. Okay, so this would put her to 1, and the Lava Dart will finish her. So they can Lava Dart me and finish the Nahiri here. But this cost them like all of their gas, so hopefully we're good here. Yep, that's targeting me. That is the correct decision. Yep, Nahiri is done for. Ooh, a Lightning Helix. So we can play that and play the Bone Crusher. Right? Yeah. So they need to have double castable spell here. So I think I'm happy doing this. And if they can keep it alive through the Helix, then I just save up for the Anger. Okay. Cast the Bone Crusher. Cast him. Alright, opponent, what do you got? You have two cards in hand now. I'm assuming you drew that land potentially. This looks good for us. Let's just get into combat. I think I'm pretty happy to hold this land. Like there's no punish here. Here is a good draw. Let's go to combat. Send in the Bone Crusher. Second main, we will play out Nahiri. Leave the planes up, I guess. I was going to say if I draw something like a Helix, I can play it, but I can't because I'm discarding this Mesa. Sunbaked Canyon is fine. We have a Blood Moon, so there's really still no point playing that. Because again, we can always just play it next turn. So if I want to double spell, it means I'm drawing a spell, so I'm not going to have a second land that I want to play or whatever. And our opponent scoops it up to that. Awesome. So Chalice is good. Blood Moon proved to be good, but I don't know that I want 4. What have we got in our board? So Rip I don't believe does anything. Leyline of Sanctity does something, but it's not a lot of something. Damping Sphere seems really good. Spyglass I don't think does anything. Big Chandra's too slow. Everything else looks pretty okay. Bone Crushers aren't at their best, but the 4/3 is still really good. Simians are still nice, so I think it's potentially a Blood Moon, potentially 2 Blood Moon, but I do like being able to shove their blue, so I think it's just the cast out second, because I really don't have time to be spending 4 mana to exile something. I think I like that. Let's go with that. Our main deck's pretty okay here. We've got the Chalices, we've got a bunch of sweepers, a bunch of removal spells. I like this. The Temple is a tap land. We've got a Wrath effect. We've got Hazoret. The issue is we do nothing for the first couple of turns, but we do get to Simian out the Wrath of God. The Temple to fix our draws is pretty nice as well. Okay, that wasn't what we wanted to see. We want to get this Hazoret online as soon as possible. Ooh boy, that's going on the bottom for sure. So next time we Needle Spires, potentially take a bunch of damage. The turn after, we get to Simian out the Wrath, which I think I have to do regardless, unless the Hazoret can come into play and block, which I don't believe there's any way that it can. Dragon's Claw. Don't know about that one, opponent. We are technically a red deck, I'll give them that. But if the game goes long enough for that life to be relevant, I think we're winning. Ooh, that is a very nice draw. I'm potentially doing that over the Wrath. Why did... That was bad. I should have played out the Needle Spires. I wasn't paying attention. Well, that kind of prices me to want to play Chandra next turn because she's my only double red spell, and that means the second red off Simian might be necessary. If I can uptick her, then I can get a turn where I just play the Needle Spires in tapped. I actually wouldn't mind just drawing a red source here. But that was pretty bad. Well, apparently it looks like they're kind of going for gold here, so... Yeah, I think I've priced, but I think I kind of want a Wrath because then they can't punish me for it, whereas if I Chandra, they can then remove my Chandra. And I don't want... Oh, Storming Entity? Okay, now we have to Wrath. So I could get punished here for not playing a second red source, which sucks. That second Simeon actually is a godsend. I think I want to play out the Spires and double Simeon out the Wrath here. Or I could play this out, Simeon out the Wrath next turn, play Chandra, Simeon, and I can play a 3-drop. If I draw another Simeon, I can play the Hazoret. But I kind of want to get this Needle Spires into play. I mean, Needle Spires itself isn't good, but I think the second red source is important, even though I will be putting Chandra into play. Huh. I think I'm just going to play out the Needle Spires. Just gives us more permanent red sources, which is kind of necessary here. Well, that Simeon draw got us out of it. It still would have been better if I played the Needle Spires. I had to have an extra Simeon in hand here, which gives me a lot more to do next turn. Ooh, they have nothing. Okay. And we drew the Simeon, which means this turn we would have been able to play out the Hazoret, and it would have been attacking. So that's something to remember. We're potentially missing out on 5 damage here. Oof. I need to set an auto yield to that Dragon's Claw trigger. There goes our second Wrath. So we can still get punished here by top decking another land. No, another land doesn't punish us. I think we're okay here. But we almost definitely... So our opponent should be on a virtual 10 right now. Because they would have gained a life off the Dragon's Claw from me casting Hazoret. But they would take 5 from the attack. This is probably them throwing burn at my Chandra, I assume. Maybe like a Manamorphose into a Storming Entity. Let's always yield to the Dragon's Claw. Let's yield through the turn. I think we should be fine. I think we should get there, but it's a lot closer than it should be. My opponent appears to have run out of gas. Helix. Okay, so I can do everything this turn. Let's see what Chandra gives. I don't see any downside to doing this. Unless they like exactly Emrakul. Chalice, yes, I do want to cast. Let's see. Yep. Chalice on 1. Does my opponent have responses? It's probably a bolt at the Chandra. Bolt at me. That's interesting. They've got 1 card left in hand. It's not a 1-drop, okay. Just make sure we can do this. Yep. Red, red. Colorless. Exile Simeon. Play Hazoret. Now, my Chandra's getting close to ult, so I don't think I want to attack with Hazoret. Them bolting me makes me want to be able to protect my life total a bit more. Especially because we got a Dragon's Claw, so the aggro plan isn't as relevant. We've got a Chalice. My opponent seems to be in top deck mode at this point. And like most of their creatures are uncastable. What is this? A kicked Burst Lightning at me. Gets countered by the Chalice though, because it's still a 1-drop. right? Yeah, cool. And we win the match. That's 2-0 for us. Join us shortly for match number 3. Alrighty, looks like we found an opponent for match number 3. Currently 4-0, and we've won the die roll, so we would absolutely like to play first. I can't see any reason not to keep this. We've got a good number of lands. We've got Chalices, Blood Moons, Wrath of Gods, all of our like really solid answers. We've got a temple to get to fix our next draw. Like even a land I'd potentially be happy to keep here. How greedy are we? We have no idea what opponent's on. They kept a 7. How greedy do I want to get? I feel like we've got answers to like just about everything, but the only issue is our Wrath is pretty slow. I think I'm going to bottom. Like, surely we'll draw land. If we don't, these prison pieces might buy us time anyway. We're versing Tron, okay. So we are going to Chalice for 1 next turn. Stop them being able to play a bunch of spheres and stars and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Second Tron piece, surprise, surprise. Yes, I would like to shock that in. And say hello to my little friend. So next time we're playing at a Bone Crusher to get our clock started. They're assumably getting a basic here. Yeah, they get a forest, so they're almost definitely on green Tron. Ballista on 1, okay. Awesome, that was kind of perfect draw. Because now we are going to stomp this Ballista. Oh, they're going to sacrifice it. That's not good. That means I don't get to cast my Bone Crusher. Okay. Next turn I'll play at the Simian. It's kind of rough though. I need a top deck like a Planeswalker quick. So I can punish them while I've got the Blood Moon going for me. Because once they get to... They naturally get to like 6, 7 lands, I'm kind of in trouble. Okay, perfect. So just going to uptick here. Don't really care what I exile. Yep, exile the planes. That's fine. There's rats uncastable until we find a second planes, but it's whatever. Yep, that gets countered, opponent. So I feel pretty good now. We found a Planeswalker right when we needed to. Planes, sure. I am just gonna cast this Simian now. Just increase our clock however much. It is rough because maybe that's a spell we should have held up to cast with our Chandra once we get the ultimate off, but even if our opponent assembles Tron, I don't think I'm scared of losing once I get to do that. Once the emblem's out. So they've got no 4th land drops. Really good for us. There's nothing I can draw that makes me want to play that out, so just uptick. We find the biggest punish, but that's fine. Still gonna play the land. We've got a couple of rats that we can discard. And like, I think having more mana in play is good for when we get this Chandra emblem off in case we draw like more spells that we want to cast. Okay, they've got a 4th land. Nothing to do with it, so they don't have like a baby Khan or anything. I really wish I had a second spell to cast here, but that's fine. Let's do that. I mean, I guess I care about Chalice on 2. I care about Chalice on 2 for like Sylvan Scrying, I guess. But like any 2-drop eye draw that will get countered by it is going to kill them with the Chandra trigger. That is assuming the Simian attack gets in. Okay, so literally any spell is lethal right now, and our opponent scoops it up. They see the writing on the wall. Let's see. Yeah, we could cast a Wrath next turn, so that's totally fine. So sideboarding against Tron. I like Damping Sphere. I like Stony. I like all three of these. So Blood Moons and Chalices are all good. Angers are definitely coming out. And so then it's a choice between like some maybe like some number of helixes, some number of wraths. They're potentially bringing in like Thought Not Seers, Thragtusks, but I don't think Wrath really, like Anger feels better against like Thragtusk in particular. Maybe that's a reason to keep like helixes and bone crushers, because I can deal with some stuff. Yeah, these last few cuts are kind of tough. Like maybe it's just the helixes, because any creature I want to kill died of Wrath. Bone Crusher's a win condition in and of itself. So it's either I'm cutting all the helixes, or I'm cutting 2 helix and they're both the Wraths. I think I have so few creatures that the Wraths feel pretty good. Mostly for if they've like Thought Not Seer specifically. I mean, neither of them feels great against Thrag. I suppose Helix is technically better against Thragtusk. Maybe because I've got Damping Sphere, I don't want the low drops. Is that crazy? Let's just go with this. I don't think it's a huge deal, honestly. I think in the past I've done either or. Like, this deck hasn't always had Wraths in it as of late. This hand is super tempting. I have the cast out and I'm on the draw. And I've got like turn 2 interactors with the Tron. I've got a win condition. The only issue is that I only have basic planes. Like, that's my only land, and it's not a red source. And like, these don't necessarily stop Tron, especially because I'll be playing them the turn before my opponent plays their turn 3. So I think I'm gonna have to take a mulligan here, as much as that hurts. Got a mulligan this. They kept 7. Yeah, we can keep this. So we'll put Wrath on the bottom. We need to put another card on the bottom. So we're gonna turn 1 land, turn 2 land, Simian Blood Moon. So I think I have to keep the Nahiri as a win condition. So I have to hope to draw like 2 lands, one which is basic plains. That's not too much to ask for, I don't think. Ooh, Damping Sphere. I can play that turn 2, then turn 3 Ritual into Nahiri. I like that. I like that. Turn 2 Damping Sphere, turn 3 Exile Simian, play Nahiri. If they have interaction, they have interaction. That's fine. This also lets us keep our white source. So I'm getting Nahiri down as soon as possible so that we can win the game as quick as possible. They're probably getting a forest here, but they can't really punish us. Like, they have to play the forest, they still can't. They're finishing Tron. Okay, that is very interesting. Do they have a way to deal with this? Yep, so that's going to be their green source. If they do next turn, I'm just playing the Blood Moon. And then hopefully they don't have an answer for the Blood Moon as well. Okay, they're playing a Stirrings. So hoping we draw a land so we can simulate out this Nahiri. Come on, land. Basic Plains. Chandra. So what they took? They took another star effect. So I think I'm actually happy to chalice for one here. Because the land still lets us play a Planeswalker next turn. This is like kind of like playing a Blood Moon in that it is hindering our opponent assembling Tron. Oof, okay. Okay. I was going to say it's still kind of doing a Blood Moon thing in stopping our opponent from assembling Tron, but it still gives us the out of drawing a land to play a Planeswalker. Okay, that was a good draw. So my opponent has to have a removal spell. Like they have to animate my Damning Sphere, have a removal spell for it. So question is, which Planeswalker do I play? Because my hand's good and I'm missing a mana, the Chandra seems correct. Just gonna uptick. No, we'll not cast the Blood Moon. Okay, so our opponent's got a Khan in play, which isn't ideal. We could potentially find a Spyglass for it. Also, like, yeah, they're on 5 land now. That's kind of not where we want to be. Okay, they're casting a Stirrings, which tells me they potentially need Tron to be active, or the, oh my god, another tower. Potentially says they haven't found anything. Okay, Khan's going up. Spyglass on the Chandra, sure, opponent. That's pretty good. So if we draw a land, I think we're still on the plan of playing out a win condition. Otherwise, I think it's going to be... Well, it's almost definitely going to be the Blood Moon. We could draw something that's better, but I don't think so. Bone Crusher Giant, huh? If we had the Chandra, I'd actually be tempted to stomp and then play out the Bone Crusher here. Or I could just play out the Bone Crusher, which threatens the Khan. Forces it to uptick. Because, like, I don't think I need the Blood Moon just yet. I could stomp. No, there's no advantage to Spectacular Spatter. Hold on. Yeah, let's do that. I was going to say that our opponent could potentially, like, play a land, downtick can't get a Worm Coil. Or they could even just downtick and get a Ballista, which is bad for us. At which point, having the Bone Crusher in hand would have been really good. Or they're just going to play out a Worm Coil, sure. This isn't looking great for us. So the plan is, I'm not going to play the Nahiri next time no matter what. I want this to attack so the Nahiri can then deal with it. I'm really tempted to cycle this, but it deals with the Khan, so let's just play it. Yeah, I just realized I wouldn't have been able to stomp and play the Bone Crusher because of my own Damping Sphere. So I'm hoping our opponent gets frisky here and attacks into us. This Blood Moon's honestly not doing a lot at this point. You got it, opponent. Yep, they're getting him with the Worm Coil. Okay, so we really want to find a land here. Oh, they killed the Chandra, okay. Because that was obviously an option as well, was casting out the Spyglass. Okay, so they're getting the 7th land here. This is where it starts to get bad for us. This is why I wanted to try and assemble the Nahiri as soon as possible, or like get a Planeswalker into play as soon as possible. Because now that they have 7 lands, they can start to do stuff. That's smart. So I think Nahiri's dealing with the Khan here. Sorry, I think Nahiri's dealing with the Wormcoil here. The next turn we're casting out the Khan. Can I think maybe I can just afford to cast out the Khan now. No, let's go with the Nahiri. Because, I mean, the Bone Crusher protects her pretty well, so our opponent's got to have something to do to threaten this Nahiri properly. So they have 7 lands now, so they can play up their Khan. We've just bought a bunch of time to where they've essentially assembled Tron anyway, so their plan was to assemble a fast Tron. Let's see what they would have been able to do with it. It's potentially just that Khan the Great Creator was their plan, just like... Because, I mean, turn 3 Khan the Great Creator gets also Spyglass. Name one of my Planeswalkers isn't the worst. Upticking Khan's really good for us. As long as they don't have, like, big Khan to follow it up. Ballista on 3, okay. Is that going to trade with Bone Crusher? Oh, it's going to take out my Nahiri, sure. Not an ideal draw. Okay, so... I'm just going to cast out that Khan. Yeah, we'll get rid of Khan. So now I'm going to try and trade my Bone Crusher for their Ballista. Not now, but this Chromatic Star can no longer become a creature because obviously blocking is just horrendous for us because they just get to draw a card off it. If they have another land, they can at most put it up to a 3/3, which means at most it can trade for my Bone Crusher. So Bone Crusher attacking next turn should threaten the Ballista pretty okay. Maybe I don't want to because I'm on 14 though, and they can realistically kill me from here. Okay, is this a big old Khan? Yep. I have next to no ways to deal with this left in deck. They're getting back their little Khan, okay. This is a pretty tough board state to recover from. I don't know how we're going to manage. Because like even this Khan uptaking is just brutal for us. This Simian doesn't do anything. I suppose I can play it out, but then they kill my Bone Crusher. Yeah, I'm happy to just go to game 3 and see what we can do on the play here. So... because of Ballista and what they were doing with their Khan, maybe I want Angers back. Like, it didn't look like they had Thought-Knot Seers. Maybe I want Helixes now to, like, hit their Planeswalkers. And, yeah, I think Helixes, like, just shifting creatures out of the way, too. I think the big reason to bring in Wrath was for pretty much just Thought-Knot Seer. Turn 1 Damage Sphere. Turn 3 Nahiri. Potentially turn 2 Damage Sphere, turn 3 Nahiri. We're going to keep. I think it's a turn 2 Damping Sphere, turn 3 Nahiri. Yeah, potentially. I mean, potentially turn 2 Nahiri. If we draw Chandra, turn 2 Chandra into Damping Sphere would be the bomb. Play out Mesa. Not planning on cracking this anytime soon because I want to leave as many lands in deck as possible for that slight payoff there. Gideon. How do we feel about Gideon? Because I could Simeon out Gideon this turn. The next turn Damping Sphere. And if they don't have like second Tron piece, I can, if I draw land, I can Simeon out an Ahiri next turn. Maybe it's better to just play out the Damping Sphere. Wait, what am I talking about? I'm going to double Simeon out the Nahiri. Why was that so tough? Because next turn I get to just hardcast this Damping Sphere. I don't know what my brain was doing there. Like, that was not difficult maths. So I want the Damping Sphere. I'm pretty sure I want the Gideon. Do I not want the Bone Crusher? I think I'm happy to... Maybe I don't want the Gideon, actually. Because the Bone Crusher can threaten a Walking Ballista. The Gideon can threaten a Walking Ballista. Gideon becomes a 4/4. No, I mean, the hand's pretty good. Let's leave it like that. I do kind of want to find lands, but none of the cards in my hand really need lands. Okay, so our opponent's threatening to activate Tron, so I do need to play out the Damping Sphere. We drew the land. And I'm definitely playing out the Damping Sphere. Question is if I discard this Bone Crusher or not. Because the Gideon can fog any creature they play as well and protect the Nahiri. Yeah, so he's got the Bone Crusher. Stoney's a good draw. So next turn we get to Emrakul them. Okay, they're going for Tron. So they can have like Sphere or Star into Nature's Claim effect into... Oh no, they can't. I've got a Damping Sphere in play. What am I talking about? Like... Yeah, Blast Zone's kind of their best answer here, but that means that it takes their entire turn this turn and their entire turn next turn. So, well, my Emrakul's just going to stop that altogether. Okay, let's just see if they concede to this. So they've sacrificed all of their lands. Maybe they think they'll get away with surviving on 5. Okay. So let's play out the land and let's play out the getting into the trials to show them that I can continue dealing damage. Well, they haven't conceded, so they need exactly 2 land into Spyglass. Yep, I just want to get lands out of my deck. Blood Moon's still a good draw, so we'll get a second Plains. I didn't even do anything with my Gideon. What am I doing? So the only card I'm scared of is Spyglass, so... I believe... Spyglass is the card I'm most scared of. But a Ballista is also... not nothing. And if I play my Chelsea 2, I can't play my Stony out. I think because of the map, I like playing out the Stony. It's tough. I mean, my opponent should be dead. Yep, there we go. Okay, they conceded. Whew. That was a little nerve-wracking at the end. Like I said, it was, do I play out the Chalice 2 to stop Spyglass, or do I play out the Stony? Because if they have Ballista, play out the Chalice. Play out the Chalice on 2 Charleston 2 would have stopped Blister as well. I don't know what I was thinking. They could have only really had 2 drops to scare me. So Charleston 2 was the correct play. I misplayed. Weren't punished. Thank God. Alright, join us shortly for match number 4. We're currently 3-0. Alright, we found an opponent for match number 4. We are currently 3-0 with Sun and Moon. 6-1 in the games, only dropping a game to Tron. Win the Darl, gets to play first. Yeah, losing a game against Tron, despite the fact that our deck is like an aggressive Blood Moon deck. Kind of crazy, right? Ooh, this hand. Okay. Very focused on the removal side, so if removal's not good, this hand is rough. We have a temple to fix. Our hand is almost entirely playable. The Chandra is a little off by 1 land, but we keep those quite a lot. It's just that we're so heavy on removal, but if it's a matchup where removal's good, we'll be really happy. Like a Simeon can help us ramp this Chandra out. I'm playing first, so I don't even get to know if my opponent's keeping 7. I'm going to keep because this hand's playable. And unless they're like a super unfair deck, this hand's probably going to still do something. I'm not interested in that land right now. I kind of want to draw. I kind of don't know what I want yet, which is kind of rough for playing this, having to play this out on turn 1, but let's say my okay. Into nothing. Gonna play out the Mesa. Not really planning on cracking it unless I need to Helix. Because I, again, want to leave as many lands in my deck as possible for the small percentage chance that we want to draw a 4th land. Stomping Ground, so... Oh, it's Dredge. This anger's really, 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 really good. Interesting they wouldn't do that during my turn. Okay. They haven't really hit anything. Have they kept the 1-lander? Okay, they do have a 2nd land. We've got Oxyvagonus in their bin. Do I want to Helix the Narcomoeba? If I draw like exactly Simeon, I want to Helix the Narcomoeba. I think I do just want to Helix the Narcomoeba. Okay, sure, you fetched as well. I don't know why. My opponent's doing everything in weird times. Yeah, I'm going to Helix this because if I draw like exactly Simeon, I want to Simeon out a Planeswalker. And I don't want this stupid thing to be able to threaten them. Okay, Sacred Foundry tapped. So, even Blood Moon looks good here. The interesting thing about the Dredge matchup is the Blood Moon stops them being able to cast like Life from the Loam, stops them being able to like hard cast most of their creatures. This being like the one exception, which I am just going to Helix this as well. Because they're not doing too well, so they might be relying on this cantrip ability. And Helixes don't really have value in the matchup. These are like some of the only creatures that Helix has value against because all their other creatures keep coming back. Tempted to play out a Chandra so I can use her as a mana engine. So I am interested in a Blood Moon here to turn off my opponent casting a lot of spells, so I am going to discard the extra Nahiri. As rough as it is, because if this Nahiri dies, I will want to back up one. But if this Nahiri dies, I feel like my opponent's like built a board, and I will need to deal with it before trying to put my Wincon into play. What's happening here is we've controlled the board pretty well, so this Nahiri potentially can win the game from here if our opponent keeps struggling like they have been. This is probably hard casting like an Amalgam or something. It's the Silver Smoke Ghoul. Okay, it's a 3-1. So let's start by digging for like a Helix or a Stomp for that. We are going to discard our 1 colorless source. Okay, Needle Spires is fine. I'm going to put that into play tapped because that can potentially threaten any creatures they play after this one. And we didn't draw a Helix, so unfortunately our Chandra has to be our removal spell. Which, I mean, next turn they can potentially, I believe, potentially hardcast Conflagrate to finish her off, but if they do that, they're not really doing much of anything else. Like this Shriekhorn's super late for them. I'm just going to yield through the turn. We're tapped out, we're not pretending we're holding up anything. Okay. So they've got 6 permanents in play. So whatever they play here, like if they play like a Stinkweed or something, it potentially threatens to block our Emrakul and not kill them. No, I can just anger pre-combat. So I think we've got it here. I think we've managed to play in such a way as to put ourselves in a winning position. Ox of Agonis is back, sure, but it doesn't have haste or anything, right? So no matter what happens here, we should get to anger and then Emrakul. I can't imagine... Oh, Creeping Chills are a thing. Even with that considered, I can't imagine them being able to, like, you know, I anger and then Emrakul destroys all of their land and their Shriekhorn. I can't imagine they have any creatures that survive anger. Like, maybe they hit, like, Bloodghast or something and they get to, like... No, I don't know. I think they just do, like, because Bloodghast can't block. I really don't know that my opponent can beat anger into Nahiri Ultimate here. Especially, like, dealing an extra 2 damage with the Chandra. What happened to this Creeping Chill? Oh, they must have discarded it to the Ox. Another Ox, okay. So because they're on 14, they go up to 17, so the Chandra uptick in the Emrakul is still lethal. They have to hit double chill to not die to me next turn. They've hit 1 chill. Oh man, I'm on 22. That's so good. Okay. So they get all these dudes back, but they all die to anger. Okay, so it's the new flavored dredge. So they might not have Bloodghast at all. They might be relying on these ghouls. This could even be a concession here. Probably should be a concession here. It's not? Okay. Let's start with this. Emrakul. Concession there, okay. Awesome. So going into game 2 against Dredge. Rest in Peace is really, really good. Yeah, I don't know that I like Spyglass. I actually kind of like Leyline. Just because I think this new flavor with the Silver Smoke also has Smiting Helix as another way to bring it back. So it deals to any target. So I think that means that I want to potentially bring in ley lines to turn off like some of their ways to bring their ghoul back. Sony doesn't do anything. This Chandra is too slow. Like that Neg X is okay, but not interesting. Dempsey doesn't do anything. Spyglass, I don't believe does anything. Kind of want all the chalices. Oh no, I need to leave the chalices in for Nature's Claim. I could potentially like trim one. Wraths are good. Angers are good. I can trim a Blood Moon pretty easily. Just put you back over here for now. I can trim a Blood Moon pretty easily. Potentially trim a Chalice. Helixes aren't at their best. Bone Crushers at least block. Simians. I mean, turn on Rest in Peace might sometimes be necessary. Hazoret's fine. Wraths are good. The Cast Out's kind of whatever. The Helixes seem fine there. I think because of the Narcomoebas, Helix isn't at its worst. Also, it deals with like the Silver Smoke Ghouls gains 3 life. I mean, these 3 seem like the biggest culprits. I think the Leyline might be too cute, so let's just trim our cast out a single Blood Moon, a single Chalice, and bring the Rips. I could see a Singleton Leyline, but like over what? Probably over a Simeon. Doesn't seem bad. Let's go with that. It also stops them like targets with Conflagrate. It doesn't stop them targets with Creeping Chill because that is just each opponent, I believe. I'm keeping this. We've got potential turn to Anger if they're like doing anything crazy. We don't have the Rip, but the Anger's pretty good. The Blood Moon is honestly why I'm keeping this hand. Being able to aggressively Blood Moon is very nice in this matchup. I'm more than happy to turn to Exile Simeon to Blood Moon them. That was a good draw. That lets us fetch a basic plains and hopefully try to draw less lands through the course of this game. Because we'll want double plains because we're going to put ourselves under a Blood Moon. So I'm doing Life from the Loam maybe? Cathartic Reunion? Okay. Let's see if we need to turn to Anger them or not. Is that it? Was that the whole Cathartic? Whew, okay. So I'm feeling pretty good about the turn to Blood Moon here. I could have even potentially got Gideon's actually now that I see him. I might bring like a Simeon and a Chalice back in for game 3 and just ditch the Gideon. But like, because of the Blood Moon, they shouldn't be able to like Nature's Claim us or anything anyway. I'm pretty sure... I don't know too much about this new build of Dredge with the Silver Smoke Ghouls and the Smiting Helix. If my opponent even has Smiting Helix, to be honest, like, don't know that for sure. But I don't know that Dredge's mana base has changed that much. And like, if they're needing to cast Smiting Helix and like, I mean, I assume they still run Life from the Loam. Like, I don't think any of their Dredge spells are red. So they shouldn't be able to cast much of anything anymore. They get to haggle, fair enough. But once they build a scary enough board, I'm just going to anger them. Like, if this doesn't get them anywhere, I'm just going to Gideon the Narcomoeba. And then I'll probably honestly Helix the Narcomoeba and start getting in with the Gideon. It looks like this moon might have stopped them pretty effectively. We're in the second mania. They have like a Cathartic. I don't know why they would be doing it now if they did. Looks like they might. Maybe there's a flashback to Conflagrate. They just domed me with a Conflagrate. The graveyard must be really important. Put a Loam in. Stinkweed, Creamy Chill, Amalgam. So the Stinkweed into the Amalgam, I think, is what my opponent was going for there. So, same course of action. Although I'm less likely to Helix the Narcomoeba next turn now. I'm more likely to want to play out this Nahiri. Or even potentially Anger, if their plan is to get back like... Sorry, was I talking about Stinkweed as though it was a Bloodghast? I don't know. They've got an Ox Vagonis in the bin now. So I guess their plan is to Ox. If this Ox is good enough, I'm just going to anger them. Because like then they have to entirely rebuild the card advantage they've built in this graveyard. Oh, did they just cast a second Conflagrate out of their hand? Is that what I missed? Or did they just have 2 in the bin? But either way, like this one's pretty pathetic now because they've only got 1 card in hand. They can't build their hand back up with Loam. I don't know what my opponent can do here, honestly. I think this Anger is going to be a huge blowout. Okay, so it is an Ox. I'll just yield through the turn and let them have their fun. Anger is so good. I'm happy I'm on 3 main deck Angers now because, like, even this Ox dies to it. So they've hit 2 Creeping Chills here, which, if they had Bloodghasts, would be scary, but it doesn't appear that they do. Because they're going to get us under 10 here. But I should be fine. Because I'm definitely going to anger them now. If I draw, like, exactly Simian, I can hold up Helix as well. But, like... yeah, they've got nothing in their grave really except for this Conflagrate, but they do have 3 cards in hand again, so that is something to consider. Yep, so they're getting everything back now, it looks like. They would potentially be wise to leave maybe all of it in the graveyard, honestly, to not get blown out by anger. Okay, so there was only 1 Amalgam, there was just 2 of his triggers. Yep, just gonna... we'll play out a red source first so we can actually cast this anger. Okay, so they can draw a card and kill a Gideon with the Conflagrate. They also have another Ox in bin, so they can just Ox next turn. So if they Conflagrate... it's tough. Like, I think I want to keep Gideon around. So Conflagrate for 4, they can Ox in this. Yeah, so they can't kill Gideon if I uptick. As silly as it sounds, like, they've got an Ox in bin. I've gotten rid of so much of their value that I feel like whatever they do, this Gideon uptick and this Helix should be good enough to stop their board from building into, like, something ridiculous and unstoppable. Because I think I've got this game pretty... like, I think I'm pretty far ahead in this game. These Oxes are doing a lot of work for my opponent. I wish I found a Rip by now. But, like... I've got Wraths and Angers to draw to, which I think are pretty good. I've got Rips to draw to. Also, my opponent's got 5 cards left in library. They've got 1 card left in library. Oh my god. So they need to kill me very, very quickly. Well, I suppose they're getting a gigantic board now, so... they're not getting a gigantic board. They chose not to bring their amalgams back. So... I don't want to kill the Ox. I just need to survive their next attack ride, then they deck out. So... there's only 4? How many, it's 1, 2, 3. All 4 Creeping Chills are gone. They've got the Conflagrate. So the Conflagrate... well, I got the Helix. So they Conflagrate me for 4 down to 1. A Helix here to prevent this. I don't think Nahiri can't do anything for us at this point. So we just got to uptick here. Pass back to our opponent. I could have potentially emblemed Gideon as well, but then he just dies to this, so it's the same thing. Oh, the prize amalgams are coming back in my end step? Yeah, I'm super dead. That's a lot of prize amalgams. Well, our opponent has an empty library, and I am about to die. So we'll negate these two. Take 3, 6. These threes, yeah. Yeah, we'll just let our opponent kill us. Okay, game 3. So do I want to cut the Gideons is the question. Cut the Gideons for like... The Chalced honestly doesn't feel like it does much. The Simeon, no, I think... Like Blood Moon doesn't do anything. This doesn't do anything. Maybe cut the Gideons for the ley lines. Is that crazy to like protect me from Conflagrate? Probably is crazy. This first ley line's probably loose as it is. Do I want to cut this one-off ley line? I think the one-off's fine to like fight Conflagrates. Guess I was a bit too confident in that game, wasn't I? I probably just powered through their graveyard there, through their deck, threw it all into the graveyard. I got confused by the amalgam triggers. That's on me. They obviously made the right call there, making sure their amalgams wouldn't be vulnerable to an anger. I'm trying to think if there was much I could have done to potentially do better in that game. I mean, I don't think there was many opportunities. I don't think I had an opportunity to cast my Nahiri. I'm not sure. Like, I don't think there was a turn where I picked the Gideon over the Nahiri. I think the turn I could have played the Nahiri was the turn I felt like I had to anger. Because Nahiri could have dug us towards potentially a rest in peace. Yeah, no, I don't think there was much I could have changed about that. Maybe I could have helixed instead of angered the turn that I angered. But that seems inefficient mana-wise because I could potentially double spell with like a Nahiri and a helix down the road. Also, the helix is a combat trick of like killing literally any of their creatures and gaining me 3, like essentially taking down 2 creatures is kind of nice. We will play first. So I want a mulligan, I'm pretty sure, because I need a 3rd land as it is, and potentially a 4th land. And like these 2 spells don't really matter, this doesn't really matter, this is semi-efficient. Like anger is the reason to keep, so I think I'm going to mulligan aggressively for a rip on this first one. And that looks good. We'll keep. Judging by this hand, this Hazoret's not going to be able to attack or block anytime soon, so we'll bottom that. Okay, start with the temple. And for land, ooh. I mean, I don't have a Blood Moon, so I'm pretty okay with keeping that. I'm pretty sure I'm just priced into playing Rip next turn no matter what my opponent does, so that I can play Gideon the turn after. Yep, Shriekhorn's a perfect reason to do that. My opponent could Shriekhorn me because I kept on top. No, they're Shriekhorning themselves. That's pretty fair. And I get to... They just did it now, so I get to take down these for free with my Rip. That's pretty alright. I think my opponent's getting F6 value here, but I don't know that that's going to pay off for them here. So Rip is better than Anger in this matchup by a decent-ish margin. The issue is here they can just kind of not fill up their graveyard. They potentially also have like an Abrupt Decay or something. Thoughtseize, sure. This is almost definitely taking my Gideon. Yep. So, fingers crossed for a Simeon off the top. Needle for the Chandra as well. That's kind of hot, opponent. You're doing a pretty good job of keeping yourself in this game through a rest in peace. I'll give you that. Helix, okay. No, I didn't bring in any wear tears, so I don't believe I have an answer for this pithing needle. I took out the cast out. It shouldn't ever tap, so my Nihiri can't take it out. So I think Chandras are just dead draws at this point. So we need to find a land and a win condition. That was a very good turn 2 sequence from our opponent there. What could this be? Stinkweed? An amalgam? I'm not going to kill the amalgam because I can just wrap next turn. What do we got? What do we got? Win condition? Nahiri? Plains? No thank you. So there's no point playing Chandra next turn, so I'm actually going to hope that they play another creature into this Wrath, even though they know about the Wrath. I feel like this match is going to go a while, so this 3 damage doesn't matter. So if I draw exactly Nahiri, this prize amalgam is going to give me trouble. Yeah, let's do that. They didn't play into the Wrath, so I can potentially play a Nahiri. That's kind of a Nahiri. Cast out's gone. Wear tear's not in. I'm pretty sure I have actual no way to deal with this needle, so I'd rather have the Chandra to discard to a Nahiri because I don't want to discard any of these other cards. Like, I'll save the Emrakul until they deal with my rest in peace if they do. This is kind of rough. Okay, so this is probably another amalgam. It's a stinkweed imp, okay. Let that fly because it's got 1 power. Yeah, sure. Let's play out a Simian. Like, if they want to attack for 1, I'll just attack for 2. I'll offer the trade next turn. I'm more than happy with that. So this probably means I've got a follow-up creature to keep my Simian at bay? No? Okay. So I'm winning this race. They probably have 8, like 4 Creeping Chills, 4 Smiting Helix in the deck, so they potentially have 8 4-mana Helixes in the deck, and they're at 4 mana now. But if they start getting the better of me with these, I can always... Oh, they just killed Simian? Sure. That's real fine, opponent. I think at this point I'm happy to just force them to have to do something else. I don't know. These Wraths are kind of bad if I don't have a rip, so I don't see much point holding on to them. So for what it's worth, we have clock on our opponent, and I believe our sequences to win the game require less clock than theirs, for what that's worth. Cathartic, sure. Is this the Silver Schmorgul? Okay. Drawn a land. Is it worth taking 3 to this Silver Smoke Ghoul? Yeah. Let's just not give him the option to draw a card off it. The fact that it's got 3 power, and the fact that they like played out the Stinkweed when they did makes me think that they don't just have a handful of like creatures. This is probably like another Stinkweed. It's a Creeping Chill, okay. We're both at 15. I will play the small advantage game and get a land out of my deck at the cost of 1 life. Ooh, Blood Moon's really good here. We don't have a second white, so like our last Gideon is uncastable. We played both of our Wraths already. Yeah, I kind of love this. Turns off their ability to cast like any relevant spells, to my knowledge. They shouldn't be able to cast anything that deals with Rest in Peace. They shouldn't be able to cast any of their creatures except for the Haggleman. They can like cast the front side of Conflagrate. They shouldn't be able to cast any of their Helix effects anymore. There's no downside to 2 Blood Moons in play, right? Like, it's only really ever bad in the face of like Engineered Explosives and Maelstrom Pulse, which our opponent can't use to deal with their Blood Moons. So we're basically just waiting for like a Bone Crusher Giant here. Okay. We have the Emrakul in hand, so I'm going to play the land. Maybe this game ends in a hardcast Emrakul. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Because I don't know how our opponent wins. I have legitimate ways to win. This might just be a big old Conflagrate. Yep. For 3. It took that much mana to deal it for 3. I still have Helixes in my deck. Oh, Hazoret. Oh, baby. Let's just do this now. They know about this Chandra. So even though I played my land last turn, I think I'm going to discard this Emrakul to Hazoret to get Hazoret to be able to attack. We win the match. Our opponent sees that Hazoret will start getting in there, and they're happy to call it there. So currently 4-0. We have 8 game wins, 2 game losses. 1 against Dredge here and 1 against Tron last match. Let's see if we can get the 5-0 this time. Join us shortly for match number 5. Alright, we found our opponent for match number 5. Let's get it underway. We won the die roll. That's a good start. Okay, let's look at this hand. Playable hand, removal, win cons. I am keeping. These hands are kind of questionable because like I'm reversing Tron, this hand kind of sucks. But we have the temples, so like there are some matches where this hand would be great. But we've got the temple to fix our draw a little. Let's see what opponent's up to. Please no Tron land. I don't want to have to win 2 post-board games against Tron. Awesome. Scalding Tarn. And the pass back. Okay, we'll play at the Mesa. So we can potentially get a tapped Sacred Foundry with it. Either way, we need to make sure that our opponent's ends up we definitely fetch. A Rogran Triome. Do I want to stomp my opponent so I can cast Bone Crusher? I believe I do. And I mean, if they counter this, then it's whatever. They don't counter it. Okay. Yeah, let's just play out the Bone Crusher. Our opponent lets it resolve. Okay, maybe they got a bolt for it. Cycle Lonely Sandbar. What is our opponent up to there? It's very interesting. Maybe this is a bolt? Yeah, they got the bolt for the Bone Crusher. Sure. Might mean our Nahiri's safe next turn. I'm just going to jam into Open Man. I like seeing that they're Jeskai. It makes me less afraid that there's going to be an Oko coming down, because if this was an Oko matchup, I'd be in a lot of trouble. Serum Visions, okay. So they're probably not Storm. I mean, they're almost definitely not Storm, right? They have a Rogran Triome, Lonely Sandbar. This makes me think they're holding up counter magic, but next turn I can try the Bone Crusher and Stomp plan. Yep, they're immediately remanding, sure. Your go, opponent. The fact that I assume they're not running Uro means that my post-board 6-mana Chandra should be really good. Bone Crusher, is this like Blue Moon? I kind of want to like Helix and then Bone Crusher. Or I can just Wrath and Temple, but like I've got 1 mana open, so I kind of want to get this Bone Crusher down. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, take some damage from the Bone Crusher, that's fine. Maybe this is the match where we'll see just how good Sunbeck Canyon is, because it's getting to the point where I will be happy to cycle it very shortly, and currently it's dealing us damage, so kind of an ideal testing ground. We've taken a damage from it already. They're bolting it, sure. And our opponent's on 11, so I'm assuming they're like a Blue Moon. I'm thinking this is Blue Moon. The Rogran Triome's very questionable, though. Let's play up the Nahiri again. See if they have a hard counter this time. Maybe an Archmage's Charm or something. Oh, we've done it. Please tell me they don't have a follow-up. Archmage's Charm? Fortification. Okay. But we've made them spend 2 counterspells on. I nearly got super excited there. It's always the dream when you're on Simian Spirit Guard to do deck, right? Yeah, that's good. Like, you always hope that your opponent spell pierces or mana leaks while you've don't have enough mana up. You get to like Simian to get there. Well, our opponent's opting. Again, I'm kind of glad. Like, this looks like a matchup where a 6-mana Chandra is going to be great post board. So I have hopes. Also, this looks like a matchup where Blood Moon should be bad, because I assume my opponent's running Blood Moons too. What are you up to, opponent? They're on 7. Like, I assume they don't have Life Gain in the deck. This Hallowed Fountain makes me think that they're actually a Jeskai deck of some sort. So the Blood Moons are potentially not the worst because they don't have the white mana. I just don't know what their white mana is doing. So they shocked this in. But I'm pretty happy to just jam Nahiri. Okay. I'm assuming that Wrath isn't good here. All I've seen is Bone Crusher so far, so I assume it's all removal and stuff. Another Nahiri's not bad. Our opponents don't have counter magic right now, so if they have a way to deal with this Nahiri, we could potentially, get ready for the second Nahiri. I think I'm going to leave the Sunbaked Canyon alone for the potential to double spell next turn. 3-4, we can Nahiri and like Helix. That's probably not anything, but maybe in the future. Snap, sure, they're going to snap Bolt my Nahiri. Yep, so Snap can knock it down to 1, sure. They might have another burn spell here. Just yield until end step, see what happens. They're attacking me? So they have another bolt from my Nahiri then? They're on 4. Opponent. Oh, they've got a Batterskull? Kinda wish I didn't discard that Wrath now. Kinda less okay with the discarding of Wrath now. I really want to finish them off. They're on 4. I'm gonna crack this now for the potential to draw, like, Wrath? Blood Moon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. We can't Blood Moon and play the new Nahiri. Man. Batterskull. So they're like a Jeskai Stoneblade, I guess. If I Blood Moon, that takes away their ability to cast non-blue spells anymore. So what does this Nahiri want to do? I can exile the Snapcaster. Or I can draw discard, but like I kind of want to hold this Nahiri as a follow-up. So if I do this, like if I uptick, they're both just attacking the Nahiri. So let's do this. Play out a Blood Moon. They shouldn't be able to deal with this Blood Moon, so now they no longer have access to white mana. They still have their blue and red, but like they can't draw with this Fire Islet. They can't play out any like Stone Forges. Yeah, the Batterskull is going to kill my Nahiri. It's got Vigilance, so I can't even like use my second Nahiri to deal with that, which kind of sucks. Okay, we'll play it out anyway. Because of the potential to draw something. Like, I don't know what I'm drawing that saves Nahiri here, but like, okay. But next turn, they knock Nahiri down to 4. The next turn I get to uptick again. Digging for like Wrath of God or like double removal spell. Oh, petty thefting my Blood Moon. Now I wish I played out the Needle Spires. Is this going to take down Nahiri? The Batterskull's coming at me, alright. Do you have a bolt? Yeah, okay. That's wrong. I should have played the Blood Moon first. Just so like if they let it resolve then petty theft it, my Needle Spires is untapped. But I can't activate it anyway. Okay. Drawing with Islet first is a good sign for us. Man, it turns out discarding that Wrath was really bad for us, but like they seemed like a blue moon. Like obviously they had the Jeskai Triome, but well, they've got basic planes, okay. So they know about Blood Moons, so they're probably going to fetch aggressively towards that. Yep, we're dead. Concede the game. Okay, so we want these Chandras. I want the Spyglasses. I want the Wear Tear. Yeah, I think I want Stony. Well, it's just Batterskull, right? They have other equipment though, but I can end them with Spyglass. Let's leave Stony out for now. I don't think Rip does anything either. So Hazard feels good. Chalice feels less good. Blood Moon, honestly, I could see taking all of them out. Gideon's fine, Bringrush's fine, Simeon's fine because I'm bringing in Chandra's. Maybe I leave in Wrath and take out Anger. I mean, Anger deals with everything except for the Batterskull, right? So... But Wrath deals with everything including the Batterskull, and I don't care about exiling their things, so... It's got the Angers. It's got 2 moons. I think I like Chalice, just Chalice on 1 annoys them, so they kind of have to spend stuff dealing with it. I think that looks good. Yes, I would like to play first. Ooh. I'm gonna keep. Do I want to turn 1 Chalice on 1, or do I want to turn 2 Gideon? I think I want a Chalice on 1. Like Chalice on 1, then Spyglass, then Gideon. Sounds like a fine sequence. Because lands I have, I'm happy to get a Plains here. Exile, do this, Chalice. Pay those. Chalice will be on 1. So this stops them doing anything on their first turn. So this Spyglass thing gets to... I'm aiming to take down their turn 2 play. This is also going to force them to pop this Scalding Tarn. Oh, I can play Gideon now. I like that. I think I really like playing out the Gideon here. He's already safe from like Bolt, so I can uptick him and then just like start getting in. Yep, pay that. Okay, they must have had a handful of 1-drops because they were more than happy to concede right there. Okay, going into game 3. Let's think. I don't know the Damping Sphere is what we want because they're a Stoneblade deck. I could see cutting the last 2 Blood Moons for 2 Stonies. It's not crazy. How much do they use their graveyard? Is Rip good? I think I only saw Snapcast. Like I didn't even see Mystic Sanctuary. Maybe that's the reason keeping Blood Moon is like a kind of hedge there in case Mystic Sanctuary is in the mix. Stonies just feels low impact enough, and I've got the Spyglass, so I think I am just going to submit like this. Okay, same as last week. We are in match 5. It's come down to the final game. I really dislike the Emrakul. The Simeons are pretty good though. And then like the Chalice on 1. I did see Spell Pierce from them in game 1, so the Chalice isn't even necessarily going to resolve. I'm on the draw. Even if the Chalice resolves or they counter magic is at 2. Like if this hand, honestly, if this hand had a Chandra and a Hero, I would keep. So maybe that's a reason to keep because I can top deck them. Because I'm on the draw? Sure. This Helix is also kind of mopey. Let's just hope that we draw good. That's probably not a great reason to keep. That's a good draw. Let's start with that. I've left in 2 Blood Moons. I've got 3 Simeons though, so I am going to get a Plains. I was freaked, had a mini heart attack there. I don't know what I was doing. So if they Spell Pierce, I've got the 2 Simeons to pay for it, so they're opting, sure. They could have Force of Negation. That's something I didn't consider. Thankfully they don't. opponent's thinking they're paying costs. Explosives on 0. That's a good call from our opponent. Blood Moon. I mean, they could always like counter this and then next turn untap and pop the explosives, but I don't think I have any way to play around that. So they're going to pop the explosives here. That's pretty good for them. So I'm kind of in a pickle here. Thankfully they've only got blue mana bird, so I'll cast the counter magic. That was a good draw. Now we just need to get to 6 mana to cast it. So this Simeon is solid gold right now. I just need to find 3 lands. And I also get to hold up Helix for a while. They bounced my Blood Moon. Okay, and they've played out of Plains, so the Blood Moon's looking less good. I'm not going to burn a Simeon on this Blood Moon. If I draw a land, I'll play the Blood Moon. Okay. Oh, just cycling Rogan Triumph. Sure thing, opponent. We need to get the Chandra down real quick. Sure. Very fine with that. I have a lot of red soul. I could have cracked it to draw, but like getting to 6 mana wins me this game, roughly, so we're going to play to that. Okay, another Plains. Doesn't cast my Helixes, but sure. So this is rough. They got to play their Brazen Borrow and I don't have Helix mana open. We are only 2 land drops away from casting our Chandra. It's going to be another Spreading Seas. Alright. Super not concerned about these Spreading Seas. I want to find more lands anyway, so... Ooh. We are not drawing good. I assume that was them drawing 2 off an Archmage's Charm. Maybe I should have Simeoned and Helix this Brazen Borrower. Temple is a good draw. That could potentially find us our last land. Okay, cool. Man, this Brazen Borrower is a nuisance. Snapcaster, sure. So... plan is I'm going to play 6 mana Chandra and I'm going to neg 3 their board. And then hopefully she survives and I can do her emblem. Kind of sucks that I'm going to need to use her as a sweeper right now, but it is what it is. Just get a... Doesn't really matter. Get a second red source, I suppose. So she's on 6, so she neg 3, so she's vulnerable to a bolt, but They could also have Aether Gust here, which would be a pretty huge blowout. Just make sure you're not an elemental, you're a fairy rogue. Well, if they have a bolt, I'm dead anyway, so... So this feels fine, right? If they have a bolt, I'm in a lot of trouble anyway, so... Rather make my Chandra dead to a bolt than me dead to a bolt. If I survive, I get to... I have triple Helix. Cool, they bolt Chandra, that's fine. What is this? Batterskull. Okay. Bone Crusher Giant, huh? So if I Blood Moon... I can't, like, deal with this thing. So I think I just need to throw 2 removal spells at the germ. So I'm going to tempt them with the stomp first. Because if they counter this, then they take away my Bone Crusher Giant. They let it happen. Damn it, I've just got to throw a Helix. Not much more I can do about it. They're fetching, that's not a good sign. What is this? Sure. Do you have literally any burn spell, opponent? Another Helix. So they have to counter the Bone Crusher, right? This just threatens to trade with their germ. Remand, sure. I'm just going to Helix them in response. They have the Spell Pierce. So... I am on 2, they have a Batterskull. I am very dead. GG's opponent. Well, 4-1 was still pretty alright. Join us shortly for the post-league wrap-up, where we will talk about how that went and open our chests. Okay. All things considered, that went pretty well. Same as last week. It came down to match 5, game 3 as to whether we'd get the coveted 5-0. We didn't manage to get there. But, I mean, blue control deck's always kind of our weakness. They went an Uro deck, so we had a chance with the Chandra. But that last game, we just didn't draw lands fast enough. They managed to assemble like a good clock on us before we could get the Chandra down and start putting emblems on them. They just always had the counter magic and the removal that they needed. But that's fine. I mean, we had some good matches otherwise. We versus Tron managed to get there against that. Now my memory's terrible when it comes to these wrap-ups. Let's see how the games went. Let's just go through the cards and have a little chat. Mana base felt fine. There was a misplay at one point with Neil Spies not playing that tapped. Managed to not get punished. Sunbait Canyons were kind of whatever. I mean, that last game against the Jeskai Stoneblade deck, with their Rugged Prairies, you know, because there was a point where I fetched, I wasn't sure whether to get, you know, a second white source or a second red source or whatever. But the Sunbait Canyon is the thing that got Spreading Sea, so it doesn't really matter. The Pang of Life didn't really come up. The drawing card only came up that last match. And was it the last match? And even then, like I think I actually drew like perfect to get punished for it, like not being able to double spell, to fight through counter magic or whatever. But yeah, I could give or take. Like I think I'm happy to play another league with these to see if I want them over the Rugged Prairies. But for now, they weren't like crazy impressive. As always, our 9 spot removals felt good. The cast out is what it is. It came up. It's easy to sideboard out. It's just kind of our 60th card. Our sweeper spread felt good. Did a lot of work against Dredge. Against like Simians, Blood Moons, Chalses. They are what they are. They're just kind of dope. Wasn't like these are just the core of the deck, right? They didn't necessarily impress. They didn't necessarily do bad. They were just kind of doing their role. Planeswalkers all felt good. Gideon yet again proved himself this week. Hazard proved herself again this week. I think it was against Dredge, right, where I had him under a Blood Moon. They had like thought seized me, taken my Gideon, and then needle naming my Chandra. But yeah, no, this win condition kind of grouping feels good. Sideboard again was fine. Spyglass is nice. There was a game there, the last match actually, where I would potentially bring in Stony to deal with like Battle Skulls and stuff because I saw that they were potentially Stoneblade. I got to bring the Spyglass and kind of go, well, I don't need Stones here because I have Spyglass. Maybe that's something that could happen in the 8th of Hour matchups too if I come up against one of those. Everything else was pretty good. I could see like maybe again the second Spyglass kind of whatever, but the matchups where I want it like against the mid-range matchups like Jund, I think having more chance to run into him is good. I could see it being a second Wear Tear. There was like the Enchantment Prison matchup we played first, where I wouldn't have hated the second one. But with that said, we have 4 Nihiris, so they kind of got us through. Again, Leyline, Stonies, and Rips, so they're all... Chandra, that last matchup was for her, and she didn't quite get there. I mean, Game 3 we're on the draw, so we kind of needed something like that, and we kind of just didn't get to 6 mana quick enough. Our opponent had Brazeburrow and Snapcaster threatening us, and they managed to choke him out pretty effectively, considering like our mana base is kind of hard to like hate out, I like to believe. But it's like they targeted the Sunbait Canyon with the Spreading Season, and it only punished us because we didn't draw our 3rd land drop in time, so like we realistically couldn't crack it, especially because we wanted to get 6 for the Chandra. But all in all, the deck performed well. I was pretty happy with it. I'm happy that it's getting consistent good results now. This list I think is where I should be, not on the like 25 land list with like 3 less win conditions, and more like spot removal. I think the 9 is kind of a good number. I could see like between 7 and 9 being correct most of the time. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. If there are any misplays I made that could have helped me potentially win that match 5, or potentially go 2-0 or instead of 2-1 against like Dredge and Tron. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you very much, and bye-zy. I just realized I didn't open my chesties. So we're going to quickly jump back in to do that. Open one. Yes. What do we get? Play Point, Swamp, Leyline of the Void. That is a damn good pull. Very happy with that. Next one. Let's go. I love this kind of pack opening, kind of gotcha style thing. Just running the lottery, cracking boosters. 25 play points isn't bad. The High Sentinels of Ration doesn't really excite me in any way. What do we got? Retribution of the Ancients, okay. 10 play points, some planes. Oh, look at the doggo in that planes. That's real nice. I'm a fan of the Theros or the full art, so not necessarily for me, but I could see running them maybe in Quest or something. Blast Zone is nice. 5 play points, 5 swamps. What are these? These are kind of cool. And Quicken. That's, 2 D spells, some nice looking swamps and some play points. That's dope. 1 more to go. Second Harvest. No, it's not nothing. 15 play points. Awesome. Alright. Sorry about nearly forgetting about that, guys. Once again, thank you for watching, and until next time, bye-zy.